Hey, we here riffing while black. It's rough out here because my brother is in Malaysia. What's up, my brother, Dr. Lawrence?
I'm good, brother. How you doing, KP? All
I
is
mean,
well back in Texas.
yeah, we're surviving over here. I see you got that Malaysian shirt on under there. Is that
No, man.
special?
Look, it's my green batik. Although I can't say it's Malaysian. I bought this in Singapore a couple of years ago, so my Singaporean brothers might be a little upset if we call it Malaysian. But I ain't gonna lie to. I was at the store yesterday, and we saw some batiks, and I was like, "That was pretty dope." So I was like, I might have to go do a little shopping. So I was like, "Okay, we might have a couple more to bring back to the crib." So we gonna
Cool.
see. We gonna see.
Hey, that's what you do when you go to other places. You get some fine outfits and sport them around. Be like, hey, I just got from Malaysia, my brothers and
All
sisters.
right. Look, I was gonna buy some suits when we were I was in Bangkok before coming to Malaysia. So I was gonna buy some suits, because they have like all the tailors and stuff. Man, you
Mm-hmm.
get like a dope suit for like $200. I mean, handmade. I was like, oh, I didn't get it though. I was like, you got enough suits.
You
You
thought
don't
about it.
really.
You thought about it. But
Oh man, I thought about it for a minute.
see, every time I go to these countries that like be, let's say the average height's a little shorter than me, their clothes don't be fitting right. I was in Brazil. What should have been a problem, but it was somewhere else. I was maybe Mexico or
Hmm.
even maybe in Puerto Rico. Their larges or extra large for me is like a extra large for them.
I was
I'm
gonna say you
learning.
need like a triple. You need a triple XL on Puerto Rican Standard Time. You like, man,
Right,
and
and
you,
then
you get a
the
little
Brazilian,
complex. Too. You're like,
and
I'm
I
not really that big.
and then I was doing capoeira for a while, and them little pants they had me on with the tight on the booty, and I was like, oh no, bruh,
You
this
split
ain't
back
right.
out.
This,
You're like,
this is when
I,
baggy clothes were in, and I'm just wearing these tight
okay.
ass capoeira pants. I'm like,
You was in the slim cut before it was slim cut, right?
yes,
Like, come
I was the pre and post slim cut
on, right?
era, and but my ex wife liked it, so I guess she was, it's like, hey, I'm like,
You're like, babe, you
inappropriate.
looking good. You're like, yeah,
Inappropriate with these tight ass
right,
pants
right,
and stuff.
right. You're like, stop it, stop it.
Well, hey, I think we have a nice series of topics. I'm really pleased that I was asking my brother Lawrence here what time it was. He said 1 a.m. in Malaysia.
One
It
in the
is
morning.
1 in the morning, and it's
Right.
12 o'clock here in Texas. So I'm glad we're able to do this. But we have a series of topics. The first one is a side eye. A side eye is I hope, and maybe you agree with me, Lawrence, but my side eye is a Supreme Court coming out saying it's okay to make discrimination against trans athlete okay. I was just like, oh, okay, that's what we're doing.
Right.
We're gonna
Yeah,
just let it be
that one
okay
definitely
some
was a little
places.
right, right,
Yeah,
exactly.
38 states make it illegal at this point, but we'll get to that. The other topics I have on the list is democratic socialism, which is coming up because we have our new mayor in New York, and then we have some candidates in Colorado and some other folks, and so I think it's throwing some people off because they're like, "What is that? Is it communism?" As our
Right. Well,
president likes to
exactly.
describe it.
It's throwing a whole bunch of folks off.
It is. It
Like
is. It just
we about
sounds
to be a
different.
socialist country. I was like, yeah, I don't think this is exactly that, but okay. So
And then we wanted to spend a little time on birthright citizenship, which came down, which I was very happy that they did, but they still had three justices who were like, "No, it's okay to get rid of it." I'm like, "Oh, what?" But we'll get to that in a minute. And then I want to talk about. We might get to this. This one's more just about recharging, the importance of recharging, because particularly in the Black community, but you see this in other communities as well. We just, for some reason, just recharge. And I'm not talking about sitting around doing nothing. I'm talking about actively recharging
yeah,
as a way of saving ourselves. And we have a tendency to kind of ignore that kind of important. We just as if we don't deserve it. And
right.
then lastly, the
Keep going.
rise of African teams during the World Cup. If you've been watching the World Cup, you've seen, I think it was 11 who had made it to a certain point. Now I think we're down to seven. But the point is, it feels like this huge wave of African countries have been coming through,
Mm-hmm.
and I'll be honest, it's been nice to watch. And last one I'll get to is I had a friend of mine who's I'll say South Asian, but this is unfortunately a phrase. It's heated, discussion because you hear brown folks from across the diaspora get this the phrase "sand nigger." But the question for me was, well, if you get called a sand nigger, can you say nigger? And I was like, good question. So I figured we have some conversation around that. So we have a lot of topics. We'll see which ones we get to.
Sounds like a plan.
Leaving the side eye for later. Which one of those we want to hit first? You got democratic socialism, sand nigger, birthright citizenship, recharging, or African wave.
Are you feeling feisty?
Yes, I'm feisty. I'm always feisty.
All right, feeling feisty. We probably gonna have to start dealing with transgender birthright citizenship.
Oh yeah, let's do that because maybe you follow this more than I do, but what I keep on learning, this is a season where they come down with a bunch of decisions. Usually the toughest ones, the hardest ones, and there was a
Right.
series of them. The ones we're going to focus on are birthright citizenship. And I don't know, the way the whole procedure went the first time around, it just didn't seem like a lot of the justices were in favor of rescinding this, partly because it's in the Constitution, 14th Amendment. It's pretty clear, but their interpretation is if somehow you're undocumented, or as they like to say, illegal, that you somehow don't have the right of birthright citizenship. And I guess the part that bothers me is that to me, this should have been a slam dunk. It's right there in the Constitution, bam, boom. And you still had three justices, Alito, Clarence Thomas, and Gorsuch, who
No
decided,
fair.
yeah, this is not a bad idea. And I'm like, no, this shouldn't be a good idea at all. I don't know. I was
It's
disappointed.
not an idea. Like, why are we having this conversation, people? Like, why? Why? Yeah. It's yeah. Finish your thought.
No. I want because I got too many thoughts. So I'm gonna start with you, bro. Because it's I don't know. It seems ridiculous that we're even having this conversation. The mere fact that it even got to the Supreme Court to me, they should have shot it down. They should have sent it back to lower courts and said, hey, because they already ruled on it and said this wasn't cool. And
right.
so the fact that we had to wait, it just seems I don't know. It seems like it gave weight to this minority fringe idea that should be challenged. And then when they lose, they decide to say, "Oh, we'll have Congress put some legislation through that," which is precarious by itself. That Congress
Yeah.
even has the power to even do that.
Yeah. You know what's crazy about all this, and I think you nailed kind of the biggest concern that I have. The Roberts Court, as a rule, has on seemingly every controversial issue that you know the Trump presidency has come up with, has ruled in ways that says, yeah, we're against it, but here's a way you could make this real, and never actually stamps out the issue and creates closure around it. So it
Right.
always creates this sort of loophole, and you said it so well. It creates this loophole to uh, continue to address the issue. I mean, we can go all the way back, as if I'm correct, to the Roberts decision, even in the case of Obamacare, where they sort of equivocate
Mm-hmm.
on these issues. And so I think my biggest issue, well, I don't know if it's my biggest issue. One of my issues is this sort of equivocation. And Kavanaugh wrote that it's Congress, that Congress could change the law. And I'm like, can Congress change the law?
Oh,
Because we have to
they
get a
can.
whole big ass amendment to the Constitution,
Yes.
you know, to make this legal. Now you're just saying, oh yeah, well, Congress could write a new law that says citizenship can be changed. But wouldn't you need another constitutional amendment
Yes.
to change that? I mean, the bar, you set a very low bar for change. Um, and I think it continues a tone deafness, especially in this court, around issues of civility, civil rights, humanitarian rights, where we've created this, in my mind, slippery slope, um, that's consistent with sort of, frankly, Republican Party politics or political lines, and Trump appeasement syndrome that just, I think, it continues to erode the value of these things that we supposedly hold sacred, like the Constitution,
Mhm.
and that we're playing with these things that used to be sacrosanct in our culture. And so that piece is really troubling. I will say though, I love me some Ketanji Brown Jackson. That that woman is proving in what, 2 plus years, 3 plus years, 2 plus years, to be, in my mind, the biggest intellectual power on the court. Um, at every turn, I mean, I've gotten so enamored with her, like I'm starting to read her decisions, or at least the highlights, because I'm like, her thinking is just so clear
Yeah.
and crisp, and she brings receipts. Most of the other judges just, they kind of be talking shit, you know, and
Get all
super select.
emotional.
Right, exactly. They all emotional about the stuff. She brings receipts. She's like, look, Clay Thomas, let me tell you something.
Clay.
You on that BS you talking about color blindness, it's like, now that is not what the Constitution said. It is not how it was written. This is the history behind the thinking, and a history. What I loved about it was, and here's a history that predates this document that you call sacrosanct, the Constitution, that led to the 14th Amendment,
Mhm.
and this idea of universalism, which I was like, and it was just so, just beautifully written and articulate. Um, and you look at, like, you know, Roberts is kind of meandering, and Kavanaugh's kind of meandering, and God knows, 91 pages of listening to Clarence Thomas talk nonsense, like whatever. Um, so I do love that piece.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's like, I just think, and I'm like, well, who's your intellectual peer on the court? Because I don't, back in the day, I would have said it was Alito, but he just seems to be old, in his
And
thinking.
crabby and mad
And yeah,
all the
he's a
time.
bitch.
And just
Right,
big
he's
mad
just
all the
bitch.
time.
Right. Mm-hmm.
And I guess this is the part that I'm bothered by. It's a bit of a contradiction. You see a lot of white supremacists or other who are like Trump and others who talk about American exceptionalism. And I think one of the things that makes us exceptional is our birthright citizenship. It's actually something that's
Mm-hmm.
quite unique to the United States. I'm not saying no one else has it. What I'm
Right.
saying is that you see across the globe the absence of birthright citizenship, a lot of
Mm-hmm.
rules and regulations and barriers to citizenship for a lot of countries. And so the fact that you can come here legally or illegally, as they like to say, but have a child here and that child has certain rights and privileges as a full blown American, I think is beautiful. And if you're going to be into exceptionalism, that aspect makes us exceptional, I think. But
Yes.
it's the one thing that they want to
Mm-hmm.
sabotage. And I'm
Mm-hmm.
like, that's the whole point. That's people why they, I mean, that's part of the reason why they come here. It's like, hey, I'm going to come here, I'm going to work hard, hopefully I can make something of my life. But then my kids, if I have kids
Right.
here, can have an exceptional life. And
Mm-hmm.
so for them to go after that just seems contradiction to this idea of exceptionalism that they seem so kind of into as a country, despite it being not quite real. But I'll say this: I think this is all connected to white supremacy, right? And so you create up these
You
rules,
took it.
you
You
have a
beat
whole
me to it.
constitution, you come up with this whole constitution of these, and you say even if you're going to have this constitution, but if you're going to change it, you need these are the criteria for changing
Right.
three or 2/3 of your states and
Yep.
60% of
Mm-hmm.
this and blah blah blah.
Mm-hmm.
But you're going to just kind of cavalierly say, Kavanaugh, oh no, we just do it through Congress.
Right. That's right. Right.
Come on,
Right
man,
now.
just come on with the
Yep.
bull.
Well, exactly, and I love your point about, this is connected to white supremacy, which I think is a part of why, Clay Thomas's commentary just is so egregious to me. I'm like, black man shilling, black man shilling for white supremacy is like, what is wrong with you? Um, but when I think about everything that's coming down the pipe, you're like, I think what we're learning is, well, the Constitution has always been a living document, so I don't think that that's
Right.
changed.
Right.
But from stare decisis to everything else that we've sort of held true in terms of our beliefs about our jurisprudence. I think what we're learning is super transient, and those things that we held as being sacrosanct aren't actually sacrosanct, and
At
that we
all.
have to keep fighting for those beliefs and values.
Assume
Because
nothing. Assume
assume nothing.
nothing.
Right, right. Like assume everything's going to be a fight is what it really
Yeah.
is really telling. You know, um, and and I think I was thinking about this a little bit. A lot of this stuff that's been happening in Trump era, I hate and abhor, but I also believe it challenges us as Americans to not be so damn lazy, um, around this is somebody else's fight. We don't got to stand up for anything. It's like, oh, we've got this document that's
Yeah.
going to protect. Um, and it's like, and I don't know that black folks in this country, because of you know everything that we've had to go through, have ever believed that. But I think it's clearer and clearer. Like, yeah, we all, if this is what we really believe in and this is what we really value, we've got to stand up and fight for it. I'm
And
not sure everybody else is walking away with that though.
no, and they're not. And I get it. I know sisters right now who are just, whether it was because of Kamala Harris here locally with
Hmm.
Jasmine Crockett,
Hmm.
black women in particular, but black folks are feeling this like we're tired of carrying the load. We're tired of cleaning your messes up. And and I'm not in for this next fight. I'm gonna sit back
Hmm.
and you know what? We all have the right. I personally feel like that's a privilege. I get it. You don't have to explain anything to me.
Yeah.
I've heard and talked to too many black women who would
Hmm.
say I'm out. And I'm like, you know what? You have that, but let's
Hmm.
not call it what's not, which is a privilege. And I
Yeah.
think it's a privilege to be able to say, you know what, I'm gonna bow out on this one because I don't feel like I should have to carry the weight anymore. And I'm like, you know what? You get to make that choice. Thank God you get to make that choice. I
Yes.
don't feel that I don't feel like I have a choice. I feel
Yes.
compelled that I must
Yeah.
stay involved. Now
Mm.
we can all debate about what level of involvement,
Right.
but
Right.
because someone criticized me and say, "Well, you're not doing enough." That's what they're saying about Jasmine Crockett. She's not endorsing
Rico.
Tallarico, James Tallarico, the way she needs to be doing. And so we can all say that about each other and point the finger.
Right. Hmm.
I guess for me, at bare minimum, I want people to still vote. So maybe don't go to the town halls, maybe don't go
Right.
marching. Maybe there's a lot of things you decide to not do, but I still want you to vote.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I think that's my concern is I don't want people to totally like just
I,
not be
agreed.
involved.
Right. And opting out is a choice, um, and within everyone's prerogative for sure. Um, but it feels like opting out also has some very disastrous consequences,
Hmm.
um, which
Hmm.
we've seen twice now. Um,
I
Folks
mean, what,
opting.
500,000 black women out of work?
Right. Right. Exactly.
More?
So which is a great litmus test for, here's why your vote mattered. And frankly, it wasn't sisters who didn't show up for Kamala Harris. So
Exactly.
let, let's not be misunderstood in what we're saying here. Um, they showed up and showed out, but the reality is, you know, the next time somebody says to me, "My vote doesn't matter," it has no impact. I will point to these last 4 years, and be like, fascism took over the country because your vote mattered,
Yeah, it does. It
right?
does.
And frankly, I think it's a part of exercising one of the things that I think makes you a citizen of this country. And I would put a particular onus, and I'm gonna do it on Black folk, because God damn it, our great grandparents didn't have this opportunity, and many of our parents' generation, definitely grandparents' generation, fought incredibly hard to have the right to vote. Um, and it's a part of exercising your citizenship. I mean, so I don't think we're at a place where we can just be like, oh yeah, I what I do doesn't matter. There's no implication to it. I'm like, bump that, get your ass up and go vote. And Lord
Well,
knows it's gotten easier by the day. I'm like,
well, part of this is because we live in a political system that makes it seem like our votes don't matter. We are in
yes,
economic circumstances that we feel like our lone voice by itself has there's no implications, that no one's listening to me. I think those are all real things and I understand
they are
why.
real.
But I'll be honest, I feel the same thing sometimes. Sometimes I feel them really deeply.
Hmm.
But I habitually vote.
You still get up off your ass and go out and vote though.
I habitually vote, not knowing always what's going on, don't know all the issues.
Hmm.
Sometimes I gotta go do research. Sometimes I call a friend because I'm
Right,
like, this country, I tell you, we're still one of three countries that have not signed up for against slavery.
right,
I'm voting. I'm voting.
right,
I'm voting.
right,
So I hope others
right.
still vote, and I think birthright citizenship being upheld is another reason why our votes matter because I think given more years and a change of more people in the Supreme Court thinking like Alito and Leto and Kavanaugh and Gorsuch and I think they could change it, and I think that's the reality that we're faced with is that can change.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, yeah, it can change. It may well change, um, and it feels tenuous. I
And it
mean,
shouldn't. It should be a
and it
fundamental.
should it should be a fundamental, right? These are not questions that we should be asking. I mean, and especially when you think how many people who don't look like me and you who got into this country because their families came illegally.
Hmm.
Um, who are now trying to close, you know, a pathway to citizenship for so many others. It's like, well, what's that about? I mean, you're like, oh, it was good enough for you and your family to come here illegally over the border, but it's not. But it's not cool. You
Yeah.
know, because you somehow were the white kind of people
Yeah.
to come
Right.
across the
Kind of
border,
folks.
and so you like,
Well,
did
yeah,
you like that
because
one?
yeah,
You like that
I
one?
like that, but that
I
speaks
appreciate
to
I appreciate
Trump.
that.
Trump doing little care packages for white Afrikaners who come to this
Right,
country to
right,
make them feel
right.
better about their transition. But I
That's
do
right.
want to transition because the other topic I thought would be good to hit that's related to this is the World Cup, and
Even
I'm
yeah,
bringing it up because we have all these people across the globe, and we've shown really great goodwill and soft power to a certain degree because now people are here
yeah.
in the States having a great
Hmm.
time, and we're
Great
receiving
time.
them, and they're receiving us, despite Trump's attempts to kind of sabotage things like he did with the
Right.
Knicks. Um,
Mhm.
but, but what's a
Definitely
great
need him to
thing
go to the
is
next USA soccer match so they can lose. Right? It's like, just go on up
don't show up, bro. Just don't mess it up.
there. Right.
And then the stupid thing about the Iranian team, who are in active conflict right now, he
Right.
basically says you can go play your game, but then you have to leave and go to Tijuana afterwards,
Right.
and
Totally.
just that kind of nonsense. But the other thing that's been interesting is that they've gone from 32 teams, I think, or maybe 36, I
30,
can't remember,
30,
to
30
48
was
teams.
32 to 48. Yeah.
Yeah, 48. And I don't know if that's part of it or what, but there was 11 teams, African teams. That includes Morocco and Senegal and Congo and I think Ghana, a number of other countries who were
Cabo
part of this
Verde.
experience.
Yeah. Hmm.
And I think there was a fear. Someone said, "Are the Europe because they're going against European teams?" And people are like, all the European teams going to get kicked out of the World Cup by the African teams?" Because I think people are surprised how well some of these African teams have been doing. Because we're talking about countries that don't have the same resources or facilities, but a lot
Yeah.
of them are
Yeah.
playing in European
Oh,
conferences,
absolutely. Oh,
and they're coming
absolutely.
back strong and playing well. I mean, and to me, I'm like, I'm sorry. If any African team could beat all the European teams, I'm.
Beat the oppressors.
It's like payback to all the colonizers.
Exactly. I was like, well, first, fear of a black planet. I hear Public Enemy in the back of my head. It's like fear of a black planet. Uh, you know, uh, I have been a massive football fan for God 35 plus years.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah, I mean, having gone when I went to school in Scotland, I became a big football fan and have kind of religiously watched the sport grow in this country um, for a long time. And the African teams were not competitive. Um,
No,
you
they're
know,
wrong.
even though they had, and the irony was, many of the world's greatest players were African.
Hmm.
Um, but the preponderance of talent wasn't there, and now what you're seeing is, I mean, I saw something the other day, something like, and I may get this wrong, maybe a third of the players um, who are playing on in the World Cup are French or basically grew up in France, but they don't play for France.
Right. Yeah, right. In
Um, you
France,
know,
Netherlands.
France, Netherlands. I mean, Sweden, for God's sake, has like three black dudes. Um, so you're seeing, I think hell, Norway's got a black dude on their team. Uh, so you're seeing this blackening of the World Cup. I mean, hell, Ecuador's whole team was black,
And,
except for like one dude.
well, if
Um,
you didn't know nothing
and
about Ecuador, you would think that maybe there weren't no black people there, and you
well,
find out
exactly, and that was one of the things
now
that
there's
was
some
really
black people
interesting.
there.
There are some black people in Ecuador, so I think that's frankly the best player on the Mexican team right now is a black dude who's
Oh,
an
I mean,
immigrant.
what's his name?
Quinones.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Quiones. Yeah,
yeah, yeah, yeah, yeah, yeah.
that dude's speed is like amazing. I mean, he
He's
was sucking
special.
people
Uh,
down. I was like, dang,
oh yeah,
what?
he killing folks. And L3 loves him. I'm like, but again, there are no black people in Mexico either. Um, but to your earlier question around the African continent, um, they have been coming the last two World Cups.
Hmm.
Um,
Hmm.
and
This wasn't brand new, right? This is actually
it's
a
not brand new. I mean,
developing thing.
Morocco 4 years ago really took it into. I think they made it to the final eight, or even no, they were in the final four.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, they're semifinals.
they
Yeah.
were great semifinals, and that was really quite unexpected, even to me as somebody who watches it a lot. Because I was like, American cats ain't that good. But then I'm like looking at it, I'm like, oh, that dude plays for Paris Saint Germain. That dude, I mean, so they had some players. I was like, them dudes can go get it.
Yeah. Yeah.
The cats at Senegal for Senegal and Cote d'Ivoire. I mean, these guys play in major leagues across the world. I mean, they're superstar talents.
Hmm.
Um, and again, I think what you're shit. Everything we're gonna talk about comes back to white supremacy. I think a lot of the negative rhetoric around the African teams and too many African teams, taking away from European teams, is really white supremacy at play. The Italians talk about there are too many Africans, and that's why we don't have the Africans were gifted spaces. Give me a break. They performed and they won. And by the way, the number of African teams were hard fought to get those spaces with FIFA
Yes.
because people would not give them the proportionality of 54 countries in Africa and the number of
Hmm.
spots that they have allotted to them. is not proportional to the number of spots that the European teams are allotted, given their relative size. The
Right.
Europeans actually have an outsized number of teams into the tournament. So, um, so that was just BS. But the way that they're performing, what you're seeing is even with less available to them, the talent of the players on a reasonably fair playing field, the talent of the players wins out.
Yeah.
And you've been cultivating African talent throughout the world. Now we're
Mhm.
doing it in football. Before we were doing it in terms of agriculture and enslaving them to do these things, our bidding. So now they're on the playing field, and oh, when given a fair shot, shocking,
Shocking. Shocking.
shocking,
Shocking.
they perform well.
Yeah, and that's always been the and I think we have talked about this before. When you tap into the natural genius that's across all communities, this is what you see, right?
This is what you see.
And just because France has like more than half of their team black doesn't mean that's a reflection of the society in
No,
France. What we're talking
but
about is a talent that's represented.
nine, I
You
believe
know,
9 of the 11 players who are starting for France
yeah,
are black, are of black African ancestry,
right, right,
right?
and these are
Therefore,
also
teams that basically
representative.
play in Senegal or somewhere else.
Right. Well, and they all represent countries that have heavy ties to colonialism and
Colonialism,
slavery,
exactly,
and so there's
exactly.
a relationship
Mhm.
because of that.
Slightly,
So,
slightly.
but what's interesting, and I'll say this last point on this topic is Argentina, which is out, in South America, who had an active campaign to eliminate Africans in their country through
Yeah,
death and
racist.
just racist ass policies over the years because they
Right.
just didn't
We're gonna
like
bring
it.
the Nazis into their country for God's sake.
So you see every other country are surrounding them having some presence, if not a lot of presence of
Right.
African descent. Yes, yet Argentina does not. And so people have
Zero.
been noticing that. Whether that's true or not, and all that kind of stuff is just something I think people have been highlighting, and you see
Oh,
it
it's
on
true.
social media bringing it up.
There are no black players that I have seen on the Argentinian squad in the last at least 4 World Cups that I've watched.
Right,
I've
right,
never seen a black player play for Argentina.
right, right. Whereas
And
Brazil,
juxtaposed to Brazil, at least half of their squad, if not 3/4 of their squad, are folks of African descent.
but let's
So
talk about why Uruguay, who lost last week, how their team basically said, "You're on your own. You don't get a plane ticket to come home." What was that about, bro? Come on, man. How you gonna do your people like
I
that,
see.
man?
I was in transit on that one. I missed that one. So they wouldn't, like, the dudes lost, and there's like, "F you, you gotta get home on your own."
Man, and the coach
Like
quit. He,
Moses.
he he quit. He said, "You know what? I don't know. Okay, I don't know the full story, so I might have some details wrong. Let's just put that out there."
It
But what
sounds
I
good.
heard on the
It's
streets was
juicy.
that Uruguay, when
On
they
the
lost,
streets, out on the streets, what we heard was,
at first I thought it was Uzbekistan, but they said, "No, it's Uruguay." I'm getting my countries mixed up. I'm like, Uzbekistan? That's messed
you're like,
up.
really? You're
You from
like, that's a
Uzbekistan? Why would
long
you
way to
do
go
that?
from America out
That's
to
I mean, you
Uzbekistan.
can't even get across the water. I mean,
Oh
ain't no
man,
bridges.
y'all ain't
But then
swimming
I
home.
found
I
out it
know
was
that.
Uruguay, and they like, nah, you on your own. And then the coach said, you know what, bunk that, I'm out. He quit. I'm like, the drama, and I get it. People are passionate. When your team, you
People are
feel like they should have been
passionate.
out there. I was
Should
disappointed to
have
see
done
Congo
better.
lose. I was disappointed to see Senegal lose. But
Senegal got done wrong last night, man.
yeah,
Also, man, they got did wrong.
but I'm gonna give them their ticket home because it's like, hey, big hugs. You did, you worked hard. You do your thing. Some
Right.
people think it's a conspiracy. I don't know, but hey, welcome back
It
home.
felt
All right.
conspiratorial to me as I was watching it. I'm just gonna say that.
I mean, I put it out there because I know the street says
Yeah, man. It
conspiracy.
felt a little. Oh, you're right. You're right. On Black Twitter, it was like that shit was rigged.
Hey, let the Belgians win
Right. Right.
in the last
Let's
10 minutes of the
let's
game.
find a way for the oppressor to win again.
Please, because the Senegal was they put that on them, and even like Congo, how they scored first when they were
Yeah.
playing England. Not England, but I'm getting teams mixed. But the point is, they both were doing really,
Yeah.
really well.
Hmm.
Now, I do have friends from England who was pretty happy to see England win. But now England is going to be playing. Who are they going to be playing next? Mexico.
Mexico.
So,
Mexico.
you know who I'm going for?
Right.
Viva Mexico, baby.
Viva la Mexico. Yeah. You know, it's funny because having spent time in the UK, um, I find it very hard. So my friend Anton's gonna hear this and he's gonna be mad. I'm, Anton, I am finding it very hard to root for the Three Lions. I'm like,
Three Lions.
I'm not.
Help a brother out.
That's their nickname. England's nickname is the Three Lions. It's on the little patch. And Anton would
Oh,
tell a much better
their
story about
insignia, the crest or whatever,
the
right?
insignia crest, like Three Lions. I'm sure it's like Richard the Lionheart or something like that.
Right.
You know.
Right.
Yeah, and they're not that interesting to watch right now. I'm like, y'all are kind of boring. I'm like, I need the French, I need the French flair.
Yes.
That's what I need to see because them boys, they getting it. I'm like, with some panache, you know.
But that's why I was disappointed with the Netherlands because I usually see them play more aggressively than they did.
Yeah.
I mean, the one
Hmm.
score they had was like what I expected, and then
Yep.
they kind of seemed to be on defense the rest of the game, and then couldn't score when they wanted to. And I'm like, sorry, not sorry. Wasn't
Exactly. It's
really.
like y'all should lose. Right.
I mean, I
Exactly.
wasn't rooting for
Exactly.
you anyhow.
So who do you think is going to win the whole thing? Let me put it
You
on
know, France
put it
has a
on the
good
record.
chance. France has a good chance, but people keep on bringing up Spain and Portugal. But Spain and Portugal, I think, are going to come down the same path eventually
Okay.
if they keep on winning. So
Yeah.
I like France because I've seen them win before, but I'm okay with some other country winning. It has to be the same 7 countries or whatever number it is win all the time.
I think
I'm
it's
okay with
eight. I think
Argentina
it's eight
not
all.
winning.
Yeah.
Say again?
Yeah, I'm absolutely. I think it's eight all time, 8 countries all time that have won. I'm completely okay with Argentina never winning. Um, you know, I'm so sick of Messi. Uh, but yeah, I'm like coming into the tournament. France was my team, just because I love how they play. I think they play a beautiful brand of football. I would love to see one of the African teams. Actually, the coolest final would be like 3 African teams and France. That would be the coolest final.
Is it the 3 Africans and the colonizer?
And the colonizer, right? Right, right. 3 Africans and the colonizer.
They messed up when they made Black Panther because now we all have a language of talking about the
That's right.
colonizers.
The colonizers. Exactly. Exactly.
Well, hey,
Exactly.
we got a little time still, and I want to touch on the. I know we got democratic socialism and sand nigga, and I want to go to sand nigga. You have any opposition to that?
It just seems like that's where we've been trending all afternoon anyway.
Yeah,
It's
we
like
trended.
we just don't go down this pipe, right? Like
Well,
just run into
just
the ground.
to go back to this. Basically, a good friend of mine who I spent a lot of time with. His family's South Asian. Yeah, I mean, he's down for the cause. We have many conversations on a number of topics. So we were watching the Mexico game earlier this week, and he says, "Hey, I was just curious what you thought about this." He said, "If you could call the word,"
Can
he
we
didn't
just
say it.
sidebar for one second? You know, when motherfuckers go, "Hey, I'm curious what you think," you like that shit is
Huh?
loaded. I'm like, I'm already feeling a certain kind of way, and you ain't even asked the question yet.
I'm
You're like,
already up. I'm like,
right? You're like, I'm feeling a little verklempt right now. I'm like, I know this gonna be something.
it's about to be something. And
Right.
so he set it up, and we've had conversations about this, so it's all understood. But this is slightly different because he's like, he was some guy, some homeless person called him a Sam nigger to his face, and he's like, "Why? We're not going to fight in this street, right?" But then his question to me was, "Can I say it if they use it against me?" And my
Right.
automatic response was no,
Hell no.
because it's still, I mean, it's an offensive word regardless. You put
Right.
sand or
Exactly.
whatever tree
Yeah.
nigga or whatever in front of
Right.
it, don't make it any better. But
No.
as far as I'm concerned, yeah, you should be offended. It's messed up
Yes. Absolutely.
for a number of reasons that I'm not going to
Yes.
get into. But
right,
the part that was the most important is like, so can I say it? Which is a kind of a long
right,
standing conversation about who can say it, who can't say it. If we're good friends, if you're a family member and you're not black, can you say
right.
nigga? And my rule consistently has said no, because one minute we cool and and then one minute we're not, and you just come out of the mouth because out of pocket and say some shit. Next thing you wondering why slaps and things is happening.
You're like you on the ground out cold, and you be like, "What the fuck happened?" I'm like,
I told
"You know
you
what?
from jump
I
there
right,
should be no
don't
confusion, and it
don't
just and to be clear, my friend and I, he was I don't think he was asking like he should. I think it was actually a genuine question, like
right,
because he's saying, look, they're using this as a term against me and my people,
right, right,
and
right,
so does that change the dynamics? And I'm like, you know, as far as I'm concerned, and with me, it don't change nothing. But I
they
hear
don't change.
your situation and it's fucked up.
Right, right,
And that's a whole nother conversation to me.
yeah.
But I don't know.
Now,
I want to get your thoughts on it.
I'm in the no camp, um, for real, and it's there's this whole thing now, especially young people, like because we old now, what I mean, we gotta admit we old, and so
That's what they say.
we think about this word in a very old way, because young people seem to be like, you know, that's my wigger, that's everybody, you know, and this distinction about the hard er versus the a.
Yes. And
I
nigger
was
versus
like,
nigga.
yeah, I was like, what the fuck are y'all talking about? I'm like,
Or ninja.
that's
That's my favorite replacement
ninja,
word.
yeah,
What's up, my ninja?
yeah, right, right. Like you might be able to get away with that one. I'm like, because that I'm
I
like, I
like
know
that
what
one
you said,
actually. Hey,
right?
what's up,
Exactly,
ninja?
right. But yeah, I'm a full hard stop no on that. I mean, because it's just like I want to kill the word in the lexicon, not continue to figure out ways for it to be utilized. And it is the bottom line is it is offensive, and I think I think we as a community, as communities, need to be empowered and empowering of ourselves and
Mm-hmm.
others to kill this thing that we truly believe is harmful. And so we're I have a value. I'll say it that way. I have a value that says utilization of the word is is inappropriate. And you know what? And I ain't gonna lie. I found myself using the word more in the last decade than I had ever in my life. And I think a part of it is because it's just become so ubiquitous.
Yes, it's
Um,
everywhere.
Everywhere. And I'm like, and I'm fighting myself being like, Lauren, stop using that word. I'm like,
We have
even when
other
you're
words to
talking within
use, right?
community,
Yeah,
right?
we have other
There's
words.
other words. There are lots of other words, you know what I mean? And it's just like, yeah. Although
Well, it's
inward please, one of the best phrases ever. I mean, it's like, please. But but yeah, he can't use it. I'm like, just tell my homie, I'm like, one, I we're never going to refer to you as a sand N word.
uh-huh.
Um, it's inappropriate, and you can't use it.
No, no. Well,
We're trying to kill it in the lexicon.
one of my best interventions is when I was in my early 20s,
Mm.
and I moved to Worcester, Massachusetts. Worcester
Worcester, Worcester,
looks like Worcester. Yeah, if you're not
Worcester,
from
right,
there, Central
right.
Massachusetts. I got a job at a place called U Inc. Working with youth.
Who's you?
Huh?
What was it called?
U Inc. YOU Inc.
Oh, I was like yoink. I was like
Yoink.
yoink. I was like,
And great organization doing great things in the community. But if you know anything about Worcester, at least at the time I lived there in the late 90s, it was a pretty European community: Polish, Russian, German, French, English. Communities had been there for a long time. Mills had been there, but it's kind of a down economy, at least at that time. I understand that
mm-hmm.
things are a bit better now. College of Holy Cross is there.
Oh,
Worcester
okay.
Institute of Technology is there.
Okay.
Uh, there's a number of things there. Matter of fact, the first place that Sigmund Freud visited in the United States was Worcester, Massachusetts. Little known
Oh, okay.
fact. So here I am working with these after school kids. They're coming in. They're
Mhm.
all like middle school, high school age, and they're playing
Mhm.
basketball. And they're all white. Some
Mhm.
variation of white, but they're all white. And they're just
Mhm.
going back and forth. These are working class kids. They're coming from
Mhm.
grandparents,
Right.
drug problems, all kinds of issues. And they're going back, nigga this, nigga that, nigga then. Nigga.
Oh
I'm
my
like,
God.
I walk in the room. It's on my first day.
Mm.
I stop.
Mm.
I said, hold up. Rule
Hold up.
number one: no
No.
one in here
No.
can say this.
No.
And one kid was like, he was about to say something. I said, look, I don't need this job this much. And I'll talk to you, your mama, or whoever else we need to talk to clarify this.
Right. Let's be
And he's
clear.
just like, he's like this. Never heard that
Right.
word again. I worked there
Never
for
were.
a year and a half.
But I love your example though, because I mean that's the piece that we're talking about. If we are allowing the word or all kinds of things, if we're allowing of it, it continues to happen. And if
Yeah,
you set a limit and say, "Hey man, that's not cool," it tends not to happen. I mean, people
right,
might buck up a little bit, but they gonna fall back in general. And so I
right.
think you said what I love what you did is you set a standard.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's not appropriate. I had a friend, I had a black friend, well, actually my closest friend, um, who with other close friends who were not black, he was comfortable with them utilizing that word in his presence. And one of them asked me, he's like, he dropped the N word, and I was like, yo, I don't know. I was like, what'd you say? He just, well, he's cool with it. I was like,
Nah, nah, nah.
yeah, no, I'm not him. I said, that's not,
Nah, nah, nah.
we ain't going there.
What
But
is
you
that
know, I
about?
think that,
What is that about, bro? Because I have some friends, some brothers, mostly brothers. I don't hear this from sisters. Brothers
mhm.
who are like they're okay with it, so they let their non-black friends use it in their presence, and then you go hang out with them, and then it happens. And I'm like, who let this? Oh, so and so. Like they blame, they quick to blame and point the finger. Him over
Right,
there and say it was okay.
right,
I'm like,
right.
and I'm
Like,
having a conversation with homeboy.
right, exactly. You
Intervention,
look at him with a side eye, like, what is wrong with you? You know,
intervention.
yeah, intervention. But I think this is crazy. So I'm walking down the street in Bangkok, right? And even today, when we got to Kuala Lumpur, I was like, I'm walking with pride, um, and trying to be in fullness as a black man. So I'm not walking with my head down. I'm not sidestepping. I'm owning my space, and I'm going somewhere with this. I think as a black man specifically, because I think you're right, sisters don't do this. But as a black man, a part of owning my space is in my body, but it's also in what I allow to exist around me.
Yeah,
Um, and,
present.
and that means at times I have to set limits um, with people around me, to be like, yeah, that's not cool.
Yeah,
Um, and maybe to do it in a way that's loving and caring, but is also, clear about I have boundaries. Because I think some of this is, when you got slippery boundaries, and none of us are 100% consistent, but when you got slippery boundaries, you let a whole bunch of BS slide by you, that isn't necessarily healthy out in the community or healthy for you. I mean, because
no,
there is a hit,
yeah,
every time I
you
hear
about to
that
slip
word,
into.
man, it's a hit to my soul. It kind of it tears at something within me.
Yeah,
Um,
well, they're gonna slip into this ass whooping if they keep on slipping.
right. You're like, I was like, them tight ass capoeira pants, I still got them, and they're like, you know what I mean? Might have to bust them out.
Oh, hey, we're running out of time, bro. Uh, Real quickly, I want to do one of the engagement cards. This
Yeah.
one is I make my life meaningful by blank. I make my life meaningful by blank. You want to go first?
Yes. I I make my life meaningful. I'm making my life meaningful by being on this trip with my mama and my auntie, going all over creation. But I think but in all seriousness, I make my life meaningful by sharing it with people who I love and care about, and trying to be um, the best version of myself.
Uh, I love that, man. I love that. Yeah, I'll be honest. I can't help but think about family as well. I have when your kids get grown, they kind of go on and do their own thing, and sometimes you
Mhm.
think maybe they forgot about you because they're
Mhm.
busy, and they got lives and
Yeah.
relationships and stuff, and then one day they pop up. Maybe it's on Father's Day. Maybe it's just whatever. Sometimes my daughter will call me, my son will they just call me. And I think one of my formative experiences I had growing up is that when I did visit my father as a kid, I'll be so excited. I would just talk just incessantly. And my father would
Mm.
be like, basically kind of teasing me, but, kind of
I,
telling me to stop talking so damn much.
I'm talking.
And I noticed with my kids, particularly when they're excited, they talk a lot. And
Yeah.
what I do is I stifle myself because sometimes it's not always easy to track what they're saying and they're kind of really
Hmm.
super excited. But I
Hmm.
stifle myself and just sit there and listen and ask
Yeah.
questions and show
Mm.
interest.
Yeah.
Because that
I love
really
that.
means a lot to me. And I want them to know how much I care and want to know about
Yeah.
their lives.
Wow,
And
man.
so that brings a lot of meaning to me as a dad, and hopefully I'm doing the things that makes them feel loved and cared for. So you made me think of
I
that when
love
you said family. So
that. Yeah.
thanks.
By the way, how was Father's Day?
Oh, it was great. Time with my daughter. We had dinner
Oh, cool.
at one of my favorite Thai restaurants here down in Austin. We just we do the same thing. We tell the same 7 stories that we always tell and reminisce about and joke about and tease each other. And she tells stories on
Mm,
me. I tell stories on her, and
I love it.
so good times, good times. I talk to my
That's
son
awesome.
who's up in Jersey, and sometimes you think these things aren't that big of a deal, and then it happens, and it's a big deal.
Yeah, it's a big deal.
You better call your
Right.
daddy,
Call your daddy.
assuming things
Call.
are good.
Right. 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 Exactly. You better
Well,
check
let's hit
in.
this last topic, bruh. If in a little bit of time we have, this is our side eye. I'm really disappointed because I have some friends who children are trans, who are trans themselves, and it's diabolical how we make exceptions for these kinds of things instead of saying, "Look, people, society, figure this out." I understand that we have traditional roles as far as sports are
Hmm.
concerned. We have women's sport, we have women's sport, men's sport, girls and boys, blah blah blah. But somehow we can't make room for our trans community because we're worried about the 1 or 2% of people who are out there who might beat out. And then this is the funny thing: we don't talk about this when it comes to boy sports. We only talk
No.
about this when it comes to women's and girls sports.
Yeah.
The worry people have that somehow their daughter, their girl, who's worked really hard, is going to be
Hmm.
beat out by a trans woman or trans
Hmm.
girl. And I'm just like, we got to come up with something better than what we have right now. And outlawing it and not allowing trans girl and women to participate in competitive sports is just, I think, an injustice. And the same rationale you heard before about Black people and whoever else, Native Americans, Latinos, is the same stuff I'm hearing today. And the fact that we have a Supreme Court who supports this instead of really challenging society to figure out how to solve for this problem, if you even see it as a problem. But to make
Yeah.
I don't even say accommodations. Just let girls be girls and boys be boys and let them play.
Right. Yeah. 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 It's. I love how you just phrased that. I was troubled by the Supreme Court ruling in this case. Um, and I feel like I can see both sides of the argument. I mean, I think the issue around fairness um, in terms of physicality is a real. I think it's a real concern. I think, and what are the mechanisms for figuring it out as a society? Because I think, and I think some people would argue, well, there are no mechanisms because once a child born, you know, as a cisgender male, even with taking hormones, is genetically predisposed to being stronger, faster, blah, 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 whatever. That the playing field can never be fair. Um, but this feels like one of those big societal issues um, that you said needs to be figured out versus um, I don't want to say it versus creating harm
Yes, because that's what we're
for
dealing with
somebody
is
else,
harm.
right?
People are being
Um,
harmed by this decision.
People are being harmed, and so it's interesting too to me because we often talk about sport as being on.
Oh, I think my brother Lawrence may being in Malaysia, his connection to that media is strong. But I think he makes a good point that we live in a society that has not figured out who has made this a complication and has continued to harm other folks for the mere interest they have. Lawrence, you back?
Kids throughout our society, if we aren't figuring out a way to enable all kids to benefit from participating in sport, and sport generally helps us to learn how to do things like teamwork and inclusion and all kinds of really positive things. And
Mhm.
so I'm sitting here wondering, and I don't have the answer, but I'm wondering, well, what's an inclusive solution
Mm.
um, to this issue? I'm like, because I think both camps have legitimate concerns that need addressing, but we're doing it in such a ham-handed and sort of draconian way that you know we've pitted cisgender females um, against uh, trans women and said, well, one of them is there's a hierarchy. Um,
Yeah, I think my biggest frustration is that you've seen women of color in particular come under assault and being having their gender questioned when they
mhm,
identify as cisgender female woman
mhm,
or girl, and because
yep.
they're high performing, maybe
Mhm,
they have the stereotype of looking more masculine in some way. They're more
mhm,
muscles. I mean, they said that about Serena Williams. We had the problem
yep.
with recently about our former vice president being called a man, and so
Mhm,
this theme of women being cast in this way, particularly women of color, particularly this
yep.
conversation around trans. For me, I'll be honest, the simple solution is just let them play because we're talking about a very
Mhm,
small percentage of people who are playing
yep.
in these sports anyhow.
Mhm.
And to see if this actually comes true, if they actually are performing at a higher
Right.
level.
Are they winning?
Because
Right.
oftentimes they're not, they're
Now,
losing.
you remember Renee Richards, the tennis player?
Oh,
Um,
yeah, it's been a while, but yeah.
a long time ago. I mean, I was a little kid. Um, Probably the first transgender person I had ever heard of who was playing, women's professional tennis. Um, she didn't win jack.
She was not the best.
She was not the best. I mean, and then maybe that's an exception. Um, but she competed against other women and didn't was not the best.
Right.
And you know, so and that this whole notion that they took a spot away, again, sort of like this. It's like the the African continent question. They're taking a spot away from
Right.
somebody be more deserving.
Right. The entitlement, right? I
It's
deserve
the
this.
entire.
I worked hard. I deserve
Yeah,
this. You don't. You cheated.
right. You cheat.
Uh, as if this whole thing has been fair, has ever been fair from the very
Ever
beginning.
been fair? Ever been fair?
It's never been fair, but you
No.
get your privilege and you get your
Hmm.
benefits and all this stuff, and you work hard, and yeah, you perform really well, and great, congratulations. But it wasn't like this other person didn't perform hard, and then they question their gender. They say, well, well, what do we do with someone who's just doing it so they can do better? Who do you know who fakes going through
Ooh,
the whole process of
right,
becoming a woman or a man
right, right.
medically or whatever? Who fakes that just so they can win some
Who's gonna go
games?
through all that so they can win a
Come
sport?
on.
I mean,
Come on.
you know, you know, I know there are dudes out there doing steroids to hit baseballs a lot further than they
There's
should have
that.
been able to. I was like, but I don't think most people are, especially when you're talking about, grade school and high school age kids. They're not.
Yeah.
I don't know anybody who's like, oh yeah, I'm gonna go do this. Because quiet is kept. There's a whole lot of stigma um,
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
that comes with making this decision. You know, and again, but to your point, and we don't care about transgender men playing the
No.
sport.
No. No. I
Um,
personally would love it if we were watching the World Cup and we found that there was a trans man playing on one of these teams and they were badass. I'd be like,
right,
make that
gone,
shit.
right,
Make a trans woman playing World
right,
Cup. She's
right,
out there doing her thing.
right, right.
I just it wouldn't bother me if there's a trans woman who can whoop me in any sport I play. Have at it.
Have that
Congratulations.
right, right.
I,
Because
I just
because look, I play me some golf. I know that there's not a woman on the LPGA who couldn't kick my ass on the golf course,
hmm
out drive me, out everything me on that golf course, right?
hmm
Um, and probably most girls who are playing high school golf can probably outplay me. I mean, so it's like, yeah, bro, like, so like, what are we talking about? What are we talking about?
yeah,
So
exactly. Well, hey, brother, it's I appreciate you coming out in the middle of the night over there in Malaysia.
always,
The rest with your
always,
brother over here in Texas. Uh,
always.
it's always good to talk with you. We
And it's
covered a
always
lot of
good to see
topics,
you.
and unfortunately, we didn't get to democratic socialism. Good thing that's not going anywhere, so we can talk about that next time. And we
Right.
didn't get to about recharging, the importance of recharging, but we can touch on that again next week as well. So we'll leave it for
Absolutely.
then. Until then, thank you, brother. Get you some
Always
sleep.
good to see you, man. I am. I'm getting ready to go recharge. I'm gonna go recharge.
Please recharge. All right,
All
brother.
right.
See you next time.
Have a great one. Be well. Peace.